You are listening to the Park Flyer Podcast, where we discuss our RC adventures.
Welcome to the Park Flyer Podcast, where we discuss the ups and downs of the new RC Flyer. Join your hosts, Michael and Jay, as they take flight at the park. Now on with the show.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Park Flyer Podcast. I'm Michael from Arizona, and with me always are my good friends,
Jay from the hills of Texas.
And AK Mike in Texas.
And we'd like to welcome you to the Park Flyer Podcast. Before we get started, we want to give a shout out to our sponsors, A Power Batteries.
A Power!
Unmatched power, performance, and reliability in A Power Batteries. If you head over to rcbatteriesusa.com, type in the PFPC10. That'll get you our discount for some awesome batteries. We use them here. We love them. I suggest you give them a try. Power, performance, and reliability. Also, 3D.
A Power.
That's right. Also,
you got to do it before and after, I think.
That's true. Yeah. Okay, so our next sponsor is 3D Aero Ventures.
3D
Aero Ventures.
You know these guys are going to pull these sponsorships. Okay, so 3D.
Hey, if they're not going to give us audio to do this stuff with,
that's
then
right.
this is what they get.
That's right. They're getting what they're paid
And
for.
I figure that they're going to pay us based on the quality of my voice, which is,
me.
going to be some
Yeah, it's going to be
pennies
nothing.
worth.
That's funny. 3D Aero Ventures. Build your own beautiful, functional, 3D printable RC aircraft. Choose your favorite 3D Aero Ventures design, make your purchase, and receive a link to download the 3D printable files. Follow the included build guide to 3D print a strong, lightweight, flyable structure on your home desktop 3D printer. If you run over to their website, 3daeroventures.com, once you get to the part where you have to put a code in, type in Park Flyer. That'll get you our discount as well. I was like, I can't figure out where to go, but yes, it's the actual cart is what I was looking for. So 3D Aero Ventures, head on over there and grab a downloadable file.
Okay, Mike, your turn. Do it.
3D Aero Ventures. I don't do it as well as you, so. Anyway.
Oh, yeah. Maybe we could do like barbershop quartet at some point.
Yes,
But,
actually.
Until we get up to that level.
I could.
Yeah,
There you go. And we could get something like that. I'm sure they would appreciate more than us.
3D Aero Ventures.
Oh, poor Eric. He's like hating us right now. So
Yeah, that's right. He's going to pull his funding.
yes,
Give me my $1 back. Where's my coupon?
exactly. Well, I am conveniently back home, and my mobile bunker is all put away. But my traveling 38 days on the road it worked out to be. So happy to be home. Still have a lot of stuff to do.
Are you really,
and,
Mike? Are you really happy to be home? Because it sounds to
No,
me you had
I
to
was
go back
actually
and
ha-
start
I was
doing
actually
work.
Yeah, how
pretty happy
painful
doing
was
that.
it?
It wasn't
How
painful.
painful was it?
It wasn't painful. I actually, believe it or not, was I should have got more stuff done at Jay's place, but I didn't. We were too busy doing
goofed
other
off?
stuff.
Goofing off.
Yeah, I goofed off. Well, I mean, I could have built a whole bunch of stuff when I was there. I mean, I was there for 2 weeks, literally 2
And
weeks.
you just goofed off instead.
Well, you
No,
weren't there
we
for
actually
a
built stuff.
total 2 weeks. You did leave. You
No.
went on a mission. You came back.
That's right, I did.
You know, so there was
Safari.
kind of a break there. You went to Japan for your very
did.
first time.
To Tokyo.
So it wasn't like you were just at my house for 2 weeks
Yeah,
solid
2 weeks straight,
and we were just wide-eyed drinking coffee till 5 o'clock in the morning. That was not happening.
That's true. But we did.
That definitely doesn't happen when I'm there.
Yeah, no, I know, I hear you. So we had our last podcast. We talked about the 3D airplane, right?
Yes.
And so we kind of wrapped that up, and Jay's kind of giving us an update on the printing the nose out. So he's still working on that. So
It's all done.
Oh, is it all done?
It is all done.
All right. How
Did
did
you
that
fly
go?
it?
No. I printed out the nose. I figured out the nose, got it printed out, went through a couple of different iterations of it, meaning it was all printing fine. And, of course, the last, 1/3 or last third, something happened, which case my belts got a little loose and I had a layer shift. So instead of having a nice uniform nose cone. I had one that was kind of shifted off to the side. So I was like,
that's an aerodynamic ad.
Yeah. That's what I was trying to go for. It's one of those things. It wasn't horribly bad, and I was like, do I want to waste the time and the plastic to reprint this out, or do I want to just glue the nose back on and go with it?
Right.
And I just decided that when I was looking in the interior of the structure, there was, there's interior structures, and they were slanted off, by a bit. And I went, okay. The outer shell is firm, but the inner structure was skewed. And I go, that's a point of failure right there. That's just asking for the nose to come ripping off.
Well, it's going to vibrate a little bit and then bang.
That's right. See ya. There goes the front of the nose again. So I printed it out a second or third time, and that was the charm.
Second or third,
or fourth or fifth, or
just
whatever it turns out to be.
The odd, weird things would, of course, happen.
I kept printing it till it was exactly right.
That's
exactly what I did.
Which is.
But it worked out, and I figured it out, and where is it? Oh, there it is. Hold on, stand by.
That's convenient that he just has it. Like, oh, here it is.
Ta-da!
And of course, it's beautiful gold color, which does not match.
I can't
the
really
red.
see it though.
Right.
There you go. Now
All right.
Oh, that's a little right there. That's beautiful. That actually looks like wood.
It does look a little spun gold there.
Spun gold, but that front part looks like wood a lot.
I guess kind of. Yeah. So, actually, I don't know if this is my second one or this is the final one. I got another one.
That looks like the second one.
Yeah. Anyway,
had a couple of little
it does have a little scrag on it. Yeah. This is the second one. This is my final one. And so what I was talking about with the layer shift is right there. You see this line?
Yeah, there you
it's
go.
Going around. So basically, the belt was off,
it.
and it kind of shifted the layers. And then if you look inside, I don't know if I can show you guys.
Yeah, you're way too low. All we see is you.
Oh yeah, there you go.
There you go.
Yeah, I don't know if you can see it there, but you can see where the line
kind of
where the line shifted.
Yeah, you kind of can.
So, but anyway, I did get it printed, and now I just have to glue it on. And the only reason I haven't glued it on and put everything back together is I'm waiting to fix the motor, because the motor, as you know, came apart, and it took Mike and I, AZ Mike and I, a long time to find the stupid thing, and it was jammed up underneath my tire, out of that whole field. I was going to put it back together, and lo and behold, would you know, one of the set screws got stripped. So I could not remove it, and so I was trying everything I could. And then I just decided to get a little screw removal set from our favorite company there, Banggood Hobbies. So it's on a super slow boat from China. Now that with the COVIDs, they have to disinfect everything so that it just doesn't go straight on a plane. It, gets disinfected. They throw it on a boat and takes 2 or 3 weeks to get over here. So,
do we have to do a jingle for Banggood?
No.
I think it would have to be something like Banggood.
All right.
So
you're not doing the jingles for Banggood.
So anyway,
I'm not a jingle guy.
There you go.
No.
So anyway,
I'm
hopefully
just making up as I go.
The screw removal tool will get here, and I can pop it out. I talked to AZ Mike about a couple of different means to, if that doesn't work, then I may have to whip out my Dremel, make a slot, make the motor not look so good, but I should be able to get the set screw out, or I might be able to drill it out, or I may have to take the TS1000, apply heat with the little tip on it, get it hot, and then I might be able to get it out that way as well. So,
did you get a more powerful TS100? 10 times more
that's
powerful?
10 times, and it's 10 times bigger. That's the problem. So I don't know how I'm going to jam it in
called a blowtorch. He just pulls the trigger and flame shoots.
It's a bazooka. It's a bazooka. That's what its other function is.
Yeah, so it's kind of disappointing because, I have everything that I need to put this thing back together, but like I said, it's just this stupid set screw in the back that I stripped out. And I need to get that out because it's still wedged in there, so I can't put the shaft in because it just catches it. But it's not enough to hold it there. So definitely...
Well, just pull the shaft out and use your drill.
I just decided instead of going all ape crazy, I'll just wait till the tools come. I'm in no...
Or use the file.
Yeah.
File that edge off.
Yeah, I could do that, but I'm just going to wait. I'm just going to wait and see if...
Use some duct tape.
No, the duct tape.
That's got to work.
Duct tape won't work. But I do need to modify the shaft very much so, because definitely there were no flat spots on it. That's on the other end. I needed to do that on the end. For reversing the motor, and then everything should
That
work.
makes
And
a
then
lot of
everything
sense,
will work.
Okay.
Hopefully, in theory.
Yes. Well, for those of you that are listening to us on the Park Flyer podcast, on a podcast side, make sure you jump over to our YouTube channel, and that way you can kind of see what Jay was showing you.
Oh yeah, I keep forgetting about that.
We do have we have a YouTube channel, and he's actually giving you a picture. So join us there. And
when
subscribe.
we first started doing this, I was okay with it because I know I have a face for radio. But now we're on YouTube. It's like, oh man, I'm sorry, people.
I know.
Yeah, that's the first clean shirt I've seen you wear in a long time.
Foreheads and the lights shining off. It's terrible. But we do have subscribers. It's like I said, it gets better every day, and people are already making comments, so that's good news too. So give us a shout out, give us a like, and subscribe, and that will help us out on our new YouTube channel. So Jay's doing a great job.
So maybe we should hand out, like in those 3D movies, they hand out those sunglasses.
There you go.
We could just do non-3D sunglasses though for the shine.
Just put them on there.
See. When Jay's, maybe I just need to wear a hat. And that would fix it.
That's probably my deal. I just need to wear a hat.
The people are like trying to watch YouTube, and they're like, "What is going on?"
Well, Mike, earlier in the our first early videos, you were kind of shining out. I don't know what it was. You would think
you were a halo.
Like I had some sort of
halo.
like
a big time halo effect. Cool. I don't know if you were overexposing the camera or what was happening.
Probably,
but
it getting too well.
It definitely was. It definitely wasn't working. Although I do notice now in your new studio, by the fact that folks who are on the podcast can't see, but the guys who are watching YouTube can see, Mike has new surroundings, and AK Mike is now in his new studio.
That's his old studio, but it looks a lot like his new studio.
It's going to look the same either
It'll
way.
It'll look exactly the same. We're going to put a picture of a RC plane behind you though, that way you can, or a green screen. He said he was going to do a green screen and then copy mine and put
I'll do the green screen and I'll copy Mike's or
go.
Jay's and then be like, you won't even know where I'm at.
That's right. So, well, we don't know where we're at either. Let me tell you, I drove back in to town this weekend and it was hot.
How hot was it, Mike?
117 degrees in Phoenix.
117?
It was brutal. I mean, it was. Even my dog didn't want to go out. He stuck to the shade. He went to go walk around, and he left.
It's like you got to water the deck before he goes outside.
He took like 2 steps and then headed beeline right for the shade, and he would literally walk along the the little pathway in the shade. And then he'd get to the end of the shade and just stop. He didn't want to go out into the sun because it was brutally hot. So. But anyway, it was a good trip. I enjoyed it, and today's topic is basically the other part of what we couldn't finish on our last podcast was that we actually flew an airplane that Jay picked up.
Yeah,
and I didn't even know that we were going to fly it. He had this big box. He comes walking in with this huge box. I mean, it's a massive box, and I'm like, "What is that?" And he's like, "Oh,
I tried to get it. I tried to get it from I stayed in that room.
Did
last
you?
time I was there.
Yeah.
And I was like, dude, that is such a great present. I'm so happy you left it for me. He's like, you don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, that's not yours. Get your grubby mitts off.
I think
of
you got to
thing.
go.
And I was like, I was really depressed the whole rest of the time I was there because that wasn't for me.
Well, and the funny part is I didn't stay in that room. We stayed in the brown room down there, and so I never saw it till he kind of brought it out.
Because it was my plane.
I gotcha. So anyway, we after the little incident with the the 3D printed airplane, we loaded back up and went to the field, and I guess Jay, he's kind of like, hey, this is kind of this cool airplane. It's called a Hadron.
Yeah, Hadron.
I think is what it's called, a Hadron. And it's a Park Zone, I think.
No, it's a Fly Zone.
Or Fly Zone, sorry, Park Zone, Fly Zone. And so he gives me the radio, and I said, have you flown this? He says, no. I'm like, okay, so this is a maiden flight. I'm supposed to maiden it. I don't even know what all these switches do, And so I'm flipping switches. He's programmed the radio, and he goes, oh, okay. So this one is all I can hear is rudder off, rudder on, and then there was something else, like whatever, because he programmed it to talk to me, but I didn't understand any of it because it was like, well, I don't want the rudder off. I want the rudder on. Well, the way this works is that it's normal aircraft. Then if you flip the switch, you can take the motor, which is in the back. It's a pusher. There you go. You can take that motor, and the motor goes left and right. Then the next switch, the third part of the switch, moves the rudder and the motor at the same time.
Right.
So let me tell you, that was quite interesting. I think we were giggling like schoolgirls because when we got that thing airborne, I got it all trimmed out. I went upstairs, and then I was like, okay, here we go. I flipped switches and just started hammering on that thing. And it was...
So vectored...
so it has a vectored thrust. So, but it's only in, two or one axis, I guess you want to say, right? So
yeah,
left,
it's just,
left
left and right.
Right, not
There's
up
no
and down.
up or down.
So basically do Frisbee spins.
It can
That's
do,
exactly what it
can
did.
do for Frisbee spins, yes. Which is, it's
cool.
weird to watch it do it.
Yeah, now I got it to do Frisbee spins inverted and upright. I got it to
that's cool.
I got it to tumble over its nose, which was kind of cool. And I got a couple other things that I got it to do. It kind of spun not vertical, but like I pitched it up and then I tried to get it to kind of tumble like a knife edge spin upward. And it was kind of weird to get it to do it, and you had to be in the right function mode. But I did that and a crossover spin too, and it was pretty fun. It's a very, very speedy little airplane. So we did it first on a 3 cell.
Yeah, you can fly it on a 3
Was
or
that 2200?
yeah,
or
you can fly it on a 3
cell?
or a 4 cell.
Yay! It's a 2200. Yay!
Yeah, no, it actually Jay tossed it, and I got it up, and I was kind of going back and forth on the field, just trying to get all the trims set.
And it was ultra windy. It was that windy day.
Yeah,
we were
it was
flying
pretty
the jets
windy,
prior
but
to
it
that.
was okay.
Yeah.
I mean, it actually worked out.
Yeah, it sure did.
Because going downwind, it was screaming again. Kind of like when we were flying the L-39s. They were just like, going down. But, it flies like a normal airplane. It's a delta wing, so it flies really, really great. And then...
and don't forget about the high alphas that you're able to do with it.
Yeah,
with the
so
wind,
you can
like
do, like with the wind blowing, you can get the airplane to stop. So it'll just hang, and there was no forward motion on the airplane. It just was hanging there on the the tail. And we were laughing. And so I got it all, figured out, and I said, okay, this is the battery's kind of getting low. I kept pushing the throttle up for her, and I said, how long did you set the timer for? He goes, I thought I set it for 3 minutes. I go, well, the timer says 6 minutes and 35 seconds, so I don't think you set it. He's like, yeah, we better come down. Well, I had been using the wind, right? So I haven't been on the throttle.
You
very
weren't
much
balls
at
to the
all.
walls the whole time.
No. Because we were still trimming it out. I did a couple of spins, but that was it. And then we brought it into land. Now, landing's a little tricky. You have to get it into that high alpha and slow it down and let it kind of plop down on the ground. So that's advisable if you have one of these or if you're going to go get one or find one, I guess. I don't know if they still sell them.
No, they're pretty much discontinued.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
It's a shame. They're kind of fun.
Yep. Well,
So,
I think
but
you
anyway, I
can
touched down
find
and-
them. I think who has them? Well, I'll probably put it up on once I find it because I remember seeing
Yeah,
it.
sure.
Somebody has them, but they're limited quantities for sure.
Right. One of those that they have extra stock and they're just trying to get rid
Yeah,
of it.
exactly.
So,
But
that, I let Jay fly it. He was like, "You want me to fly it?" I'm like, "Yeah, it's your airplane."
You let him fly his own
that's right.
plane.
What was he
No,
thinking?
I'm sorry. You let him fly my plane. Is what I did.
Oh, that's right.
We know what
I
happens when
let
that
him fly
happens.
your airplane.
I'm going to keep that up until someone believes it.
Yeah.
Put that sucker in the
tell it
ground.
and,
This is Mike's plane? Ooh.
Yeah, when it's a bunch of pieces, it'll become your airplane.
There
We'll
you
mail
go.
it to you.
That's
There you
right,
go.
yeah. Mike, I crashed your plane the other day.
That's
Oh,
right, but I got all the
right.
pieces. Here you go.
I got everything. I collected them all.
Here you go, buddy.
Yeah. I 3D printed a couple of extra ones, so you could just.
But
keep
it's
those
foam, so it should be
Exactly.
fine.
It should be
right.
fine.
So anyway, so Jay, what did you? How did you? Or what did you think of it?
Once again, it's kind of weird. Not like super, super weird, but because I'm used to flying Deltas a lot, it was weird to have a pretty effective rudder on a Delta. And so that was just kind of a weirdish thing to be able to crank on the rudder and, it kind of would affect the wing. And so that was kind of weird. And then it got weirder once we started flicking the switches as well. So, when you put them into those spins, it was one of those things that you want to kind of get yourself out of the spin. And luckily, basically, this is definitely one of those planes. Less is more, meaning the less that you do to try to correct it from coming out of its spin, or you're trying to do whatever, the better it is. The more you think you're helping, the worse you're making it, I guess. I don't know if that translates well or if I'm saying it right. But pretty much you just get the nose lowered, let go of the controls, and the plane will, sort itself out, and then you just go in whatever direction it kind of comes out. Now, the good part is flying the tough wings, when we would tumble them or we would spin them or we'd do whatever crazy thing with them, that's what we were doing anyway. People would go, how do you know which direction it's going? And you go, huh? What are you talking about? What? I have no clue. Then how did you do that tumble spin thing and then come out and then go that way? And you go, oh, I didn't know what it was going to do. I just knew, when I just kept pulling back on the stick, when I just pulled, was going in whatever direction, I was good. I knew I wasn't upside down. So, and that was kind of with this one as well. I mean, it kind of come out of its thing and you just let go. You just release the controls a little bit and it would pick up speed and it would come right out of whatever attitude it was in. At least that's what I kind of picked up on. But
yeah, you had to keep the power in.
Yeah, you definitely do that for sure. And that was something that seemed kind of weirdish, because you want to cut the power, but really you got to keep the power in there for it to help it, pick up some speed and get some air over the wings.
It won't do the spin otherwise.
Yeah. So wait. So the difference is that most of the airplanes that you fly have a nose-mounted propeller that's pulling.
Right.
This one has a tail-mounted pusher,
right?
And it moves. And so when you're in the spin and you've got that thing cranked and you pull the power to idle, you have nothing to drop the nose to, or when the nose drops, it just continues to spin.
Right?
It won't come out of it because you don't have enough elevator to get it the nose down where it's in a nose dive. So you have to add power to get some forward motion.
Right. That makes sense.
To get it out, because you have to be able to push it. That's your, if you pull the power off of a normal airplane, all that weight's in the nose. It'll drop to the ground and start coming down. But all the weight here is in the tail. So the nose never drops.
Well, that's why you have that flat spin. I mean, I guess was a Top Gun where the guy flat spins down and they have to eject or whatever.
Yeah.
He's not really, because he loses his engine, but he's in a spin, so he can't get out of it.
Yeah, it's
whatever,
Hollywood.
Right?
Same kind of thing. But yeah,
poor guy hit his head. Yeah,
that's it.
Duck.
Yeah, exactly. Well, in that particular case, the F-14 has motors that are far enough apart that when one flames out and he got into the flat spin, it's kind of the same thing. He's in the burner, out of the burner, but it just stabilized where he didn't have the other engine, so supposedly it just stayed in that flat, just kind of spinning around. He couldn't get the stick over far enough to break that. And his wings were out, and there was a couple other things. I mean, aerodynamically, I'm not a Navy pilot, but some of those guys can probably tell. I've talked to a couple of them that, are kind of like, yeah, it had a little problem with the engines being so far apart. So that was what the problem is. But this particular model, it's in the very back, and you have to get some forward momentum to get the nose to actually drop out.
Well, like I said, that makes a lot of sense now that thinking about it.
Right.
But no, it was a lot of fun, and it spins like a top for sure.
Like a Frisbee.
Well, when you get it, if you get it going really well. Now, I did notice the big thing with this is you definitely want to have some altitude when you start doing the Frisbee stuff. Mm-hmm. And with it being as windy as it was, I noticed that if we got it to a certain altitude, and it didn't have to be spinning, just you got it if you were doing whatever maneuvers and you got it, like I said, just above tree level, with the burble coming over the trees, the plane would drop. Mm-hmm. It would drop like 10 to 20 feet. It would just drop, and you're like, whoa.
So you were dealing with a crosswind.
Right, right. Because like I said, it's how it is at that field. It blows across the field and kind of goes back like a fire hose, going back and forth. And I noticed that when Mike was flying it, and then it happened to me, you kind of got it over the road, and that's where all the trees were. And if you got it so low, all of a sudden you're like flying along kind of slowish or whatever, and you're kind of coming out of a maneuver, and all of a sudden the plane would just sink. You're like, whoa, 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 power, 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 power. And the power would come up.
And that's where the cars and the tree and the bench and all the other stuff
So,
is.
Yeah, it's all right there.
So basically nobody pancaked it in or anything, but it definitely, because it's so light, it just kind of got sucked in, got sucked up into that.
And then there's the magnetic properties of all the
Oh,
objects.
that's of course. That's true. The
Yeah,
bigger
it's
the
true.
tree, the thicker the oak, the more gravitational pull it has.
Yeah, they all have their own gravity, specific gravity.
That big black hole where everybody's standing and all the cars are. It just sucks those airplanes right to it.
But
all that gravity in one spot. Oh, look, let's go there.
so, like Mike said, though, it was fun. It was a little weird to get into its spinny thing, but I was just a little nervous on that stuff. But I tell you what, though, it would glide, it would float in the wind. That was easy. That part was really easy. You could just stop it dead. It was just hovering there, and you got it into this beautiful high alpha. And then the nice part with having that rudder, you had some control because, you can't do that with our regular tough wing because there's no, stability. It's going to roll off if you try to do that for too long. And with this one, you just could play with the rudder and keep it in there. And so that was really nice. And then I brought it in, and I kind of just high alpha'd it and, plopped it. It was kind of like flying our old foamies with the Blue Core foamies. You'd bring something in and you just kind of do that. You bring it up high alpha and just plop it right where, and that's basically how I was able to land the plane. So that was pretty cool. And after that, we did the testing for 3S. So we got it trimmed out. Everything was good. I flew it. Mike flew it. So we went ahead and I grabbed one of my 4 cells, threw it in there. I said, okay, Mike, changed out the prop, because I had to prop it down. I think originally I was like with a 6.6 or something like that, and I went down to a 5.5 for the 4 cell. And, put it in the 4 cell. I said, okay, Mike, you ready to go? Yeah, okay, let's go. And let's just say it wasn't an A power.
It wasn't an 8-power battery.
It was one of my old, ghetto 4 cells.
It was tired. Let me tell you, he didn't
she
even
was
get it
tired.
off the bench.
She was very tired and rode hard and put away wet.
You made it with two cells and a third of a 3 cell.
Third of a 3 cell,
pretty much.
Kind of leaking out, yeah.
Well, the funny part is that for a 4 cell, Mike, when you were down here and we were flying our little fun racers, that 4 cell, when you give it a little gas, it wants to leap out of your hands. So I was fully expecting that, and I gave it about a quarter throttle, and it just started powering up. So I gave it half, and it barely powered up. And I started laughing, and Jay's like, give it some gas. And I'm like, I'm at half throttle. So I just stabbed the throttle. I gave it full throttle, and it goes,
I was like, okay, that battery's
and
done.
Jay's like holding it, about to throw it, and I go, don't throw it. Don't throw it. I go, I'm at full throttle, and the thing's going the other way. So he's like, oh, I think that battery's seen better days. He's like, oh, yeah, I don't know what that one was. So he unplugs it. I mean, the battery looks perfect. I mean, it's not, I guess it was a little puffy, but it was in, you know.
Jay, you should probably prune your battery grouping.
Yeah, that one definitely got,
can't keep them
they got
forever.
the black,
No.
they got the black mark of death.
Big black X on it. So he goes, I said, well, that's that, right? And he goes, no, I got another 4 cell. And I'm like, oh, okay. So he whips it out of there. This one's way newer, and he plugs it in. And, of course, as soon as I cracked the throttle, Jay, it was gone. It just ripped right out of Jay's hands. So he didn't even have to really throw it. It just went
I just let go
skyward. Yeah, I was worried about him getting cut because he was.
Yeah, I was
going to
say, you're lucky he didn't cut his hands because that prop's right there.
Well, and it started moving. He was smart enough to just drop his arm and let the thing go because there was no need to throw it. It was like an instant launch.
Yeah, and did it go move from 0 to 60 or 100?
Yeah.
Because you were downstairs on the deck, and the next thing you know, you were.
Yeah, I spec'd it out.
You spec'd it. So
you could barely see it.
Jay, it's a good thing that you have a 3D printer because now you can make a launch pad for that thing. And then
that's true.
Put it in a little launch and do a little launch pad. That'd be awesome.
That would be kind of cool.
Oh, we'll have to see.
Well, because the tough wings
it's
actually,
plane. You can do whatever you want with
it.
Yeah.
We could get the tough wings to launch off the ground.
Yeah.
So I don't know why this one would.
Yeah. I mean, there's no reason why that couldn't do that, even with the 3 cell. But I mean, just because it's where the thing is, you couldn't set it on its own wing like we can.
No.
The tough wings, but you could easily make a
little launch pad.
Launch pad. Yeah.
Yeah.
It could be two pieces, like 2 football tees, really. I mean,
right.
That's kind of my mind says about it. You just stick that right on top of that and bzz, off.
Yeah, that would be kind of neat to see if he could actually do that. Well, the 4-cell performance, let me tell you. I mean, I took off, and he's like, "Oh yeah," he was like, "Now that's some power," and I went. I mean, I had it full throttle, just going vertical right out of his hand. Got it pretty much where it was just a speck, and then I went ahead and flipped all the switches and just went crazy with that thing. It was. I mean, it spun pretty good with a 3-cell. With a 4-cell, that thing was. I mean, it sounded like a chainsaw.
Yeah.
It was loud, and but it was really impressive. But the cool thing is that we were out towards the river, the Llama, field over there where the river is.
Yeah.
And it's it's way out in front of us, and so I went out that direction and I started spinning. There was a big enough wind coming from that way that by the time I recovered, both of us were looking over our left shoulder over by the road.
That's cool.
Because it was spinning
cool.
like a boomerang, like a frisbee just going, but it was moving.
The wind was just carrying
left. The wind was carrying it, so it was actually, and it wasn't losing very much altitude.
Yeah,
I mean it was.
That's
it
pretty
lost
cool, really.
just probably a couple of feet maybe, but it was still way up there. And then the recovery, now you recovered, and I just zipped back out to the same spot, back up in the air, and did it again. So, but the good news is we reset the timer.
Yeah,
for the 4-cell.
Put it down about 3.5 minutes. So that worked.
I did that while he was.
So that time you had a timer.
Yeah.
That's good.
So with that time we put in about 3 minutes and 20 seconds or something, and unfortunately, when you're spinning that thing and flipping it around, it goes by really quick. It's like flying the L-39s, and so anyway, I was like, all right, well, it's the timer's starting to go down. I can hear it counting down from 30 seconds, and I was like, okay, well, I'll come into land. Well, with a 4-cell, it does, it's already smoking fast. So when I pulled the power off of it, it was still cruising. And it just didn't want to slow down. I couldn't believe it. I don't know if it was the weight of the battery, but I couldn't get it high enough in the alpha. So I went around, came back in, slowed it way down this time, and had this real nice approach, touchdown, beautiful. Just skid right to our feet. Still doing about 20 miles an hour.
And
that always feels good, though.
Yeah, but it would have if it would have stopped.
It would have.
but
it kept going.
But
the skid to our feet was nice, but right by the time it got to our feet, it got airborne again and just rolled inverted and just
the wind got underneath it and it just rolled over on its back and it became like what do you call it, a farrow for plowing a field. And that's what it did. Upside down.
I feel like that story probably should have ended about 5 seconds.
Yeah, it should have. Because
But,
unfortunately, though, he was filming it, I think.
Yeah.
So he probably has video of it. But it basically just snapped the rudder off of it. Now, the good news is that the rudder is held on by these 2 plastic tabs. And the 2 plastic tabs slide into a slot that's in the foam. So that was beautiful because it didn't break anything. There was a small chunk of foam that had been glued into there. And so when we got home, because that pretty much ruined our rest of our flying.
Yeah.
Plus, I had to go anyway. But when I got back, we repaired it. I mean, it took me literally like 5 minutes.
Yep. So easy repair,
this time,
as you can see,
it
looks good. Can't tell that it was damaged.
That I smacked it. Yeah.
Straight.
So the way, and it's actually straighter than it was when we first took it out of the box.
I like it. I crashed the plane and I improved it.
No, I didn't mean it that way. It's just that I think.
No, I'm saying that's like
used.
good. I mean, it comes out of the box and it's okay, and then you crash it. It's like I'm going to fix it, make it.
I
better.
did fix it. I made it better.
So I feel like I should crash all my planes right out of the gate, and that way I can make it better.
Make it how you want.
Well, I do actually crash them right out of the gate, so that's really not something I have to try to do.
Okay, there you go.
It just happens. Yeah, it's automatic.
Well, we took. I think we actually took. Was it Gorilla Glue? We used Gorilla Glue?
Yeah, that type of repair, definitely Gorilla Glue.
So we had the Gorilla Glue, and I put it all in there, and then basically because it's a foaming type glue, I took blue tape and I pulled it really tight around the bottom part of it, and so that way it's all taped in. So when the foam expands, it fills in all the gaps, but it doesn't come out. And then because it was already taped, I just shoved it down in the little recess. So it was able to. I left the tape, so there's tape on it. You just can't see it because I cut it right at the line. So if it ever pops off of there again, hopefully it you just peel back the tape and drop some glue in there. And although I have a feeling that we'll slow it down a little bit more next time. Kind of learned our lesson.
Yeah, it was cooking.
It was smoking fast. I couldn't believe how quick it was going, and it was coming in. It's coming towards you, so I'm like, oh well, that's slow enough. I'll just touch down. But the wind was howling so bad that it wanted to just kind of stay.
Yeah, because it wasn't it wasn't like skipping a stone and the thing went flying up. It was it was just fast enough that it kind of lifted up, and that wind got up underneath it and just flipped it right over, slammed it into the ground, stomped all over.
It happened quick too. I didn't even have a chance to react. Because I had full back elevator when I touched down, and it skidded about 2 or 3 feet right to where I thought it was going to stop, and of course it didn't. It was still moving like through the grass. I thought the grass would be at least like on the tough wings when when it slaps onto the ground and skids a little forward, it only skids maybe a foot or two because of the drag of the grass. But this thing, man, was like on ice. It hit the ground and just kept on going. So I was pretty impressed with it, though. I had a lot of fun.
It's not like the grass is really long, though. Like, it would create drag.
Well,
it's more like a putting green out there than it is.
Yeah, well, the grass was a little wispy.
Right?
I don't know if it's a putting green. Putting green
I
mean,
in terms of shortness, the grass is really, really short.
Oh, you mean, yeah.
So it's not like creating drag. In fact, because of the dirt spot.
You
probably have a nice like hockey table.
That's about what it is.
Air hockey table kind of an area. Wind wafting through there. It probably just had a nice cushion of air underneath it.
Ground effect. Yeah, that's exactly right.
Total ground effect there. Yeah, exactly.
Well, the good news is it is back in good shape, and we didn't break the prop or anything. It didn't tear it up, and like I said, those two little brackets just kind of creased out of the foam. It wasn't even like they snapped the whole rudder.
You know who has a similar setup to this, and that's our gliders, the Phoenix 2000s. The tail sections for the Phoenix 2000s are the same type of setup. They fit into slots that fit into the foam, and if they break,
there's a screw that holds them in there.
And the screw holds them down and stuff. So it's the same type of deal.
Because of that, I can travel with it.
Exactly.
Yep, that's right. Yep. Well, this one here has 2 screws as well, and they're actually underneath
the bracket.
Underneath the bracket. So the bracket has like 6 screws holding it to the foam. You pull that off, turn it upside down, and take out 2 screws that are holding the rudder on. So it's kind of weird. Yeah, there you go.
This whole gray
so that whole gray piece
is
attached to the foam.
6 screws into that pulls off, and that comes.
That's actually smart.
The whole rudder
it is really smart
because
it's a smart.
Right here for the clevis and stuff, this pops off. Or I should say it's on the other side. It pops off.
There it goes.
And, you pop it through, and then you get this whole thing, breaks down
just
into a smaller piece.
comes off in your hand. So if you wanted to travel with it, you could. It's fairly easy to pull those off. Just don't lose any screws, because then you'd be screwed.
Would that wing fit in the suitcase, Jay?
No.
Or is it too wide?
It's pretty wide,
right?
Probably not.
Yeah, I mean, someone needs to make a travel wing. That Hadron actually looks like you could, if they had put the right pieces in the middle.
If you had one of those portfolio things like the architects or artists or whatever have,
right?
If you had something like that was flat on both sides,
because this would be flat. It would be pretty flat if that was the case. But if you were to modify this and you were to saw the wings off and then make some kind of bracket to put them back on and stuff, and then put a spar through it, because I don't even know, there may be a spar through this already, I don't know, but then that would work, because then you'd be able to pull the wings off and put them back on again. So it'd be kind of cool, but I don't think I'm gonna be traveling with this. Sorry.
No, but it's fun to go fly.
I mean, not even in Dallas.
Oh well, I could throw it in the car for Dallas or put it in the back.
Oh, okay.
Because I have my little
I mean, he's never going to come up here anyway.
I'm
going to
come up.
Exactly, yeah.
You know, I got my trailer going. I'm good to go, man.
Yeah, that's right. He's got new tires on his trailer.
Hoo-hoo.
Are they staying? Are they staying
They're
inflated?
staying inflated.
They are.
Wow.
Now his car tires were not inflated, but the trailer tires were.
Yeah.
I know because I borrowed the car and had to put air in the front tires.
Jay, I really feel like you're going to have to start parking your car outside the property area with the trailer. You know.
Well, why is that?
Well, that's because you keep calling it the Scab House. Maybe it's wearing off on.
Oh
stuff
no,
outside.
that's without a doubt. Everything in this house, is having
Actually, while we were there, he bought a bracket for the spare tire and put it on the front as well. So now his trailer has 2 brand new tires
and a
that
spare,
are all ready to go, and a spare. Now I don't think there's any air in the spare tire.
It's
but
air in the spare tire.
He'll find that out when he goes to change it out on the side of the road.
Yeah, you won't need that anyway.
It's just for looks. Well,
he's got one of those fix-a-flat cans. He can just shake it up and pull
unfortunately,
it.
the problem is, great, the trailer's working, but my generator's not working.
Right.
I just if it isn't something, it's
no,
something.
it's just crazy.
That thing was working great though. The last time I was
here, I have no problems with it. Now it won't stay running. So we looked at all the YouTube videos. We tried a whole bunch of different things, and it just doesn't work. I'm at my wit's end. I got a neighbor down the street. I may go talk to him and see if he...
Fuel filter?
No.
No fuel filter.
Yeah, we totally...
As a matter of fact, I pulled the little petcock that drops the fuel from the tank
cleaned it all
into
out.
the carb. Pulled that out. Sonic cleaned that. We pulled the carburetor off. I cleaned all that out.
There's no carb screen?
Nope. None of that. We put new fuel in it. What we did find out that there is a low level oil indicator. It did have a little.
It was low.
Oil
it was low oil, and I went ahead and put
low.
more oil in it, and
it should have cranked right up. So I pulled it a couple times, and Jay pulled it a couple times. It'll run, and then it feels like it runs out of gas. So he's like, "Well,
you got a hole in one of the hoses."
Yeah, well, that's what I thought too. But I put my hand over everything, and because you're talking about something that's creating a vacuum, right? You need a vacuum to keep it running, and and I took all those hoses and everything and put my thumbs over them, and they're all working. Put my hand over the carb itself, and it won't. It sucks my hand, so you're getting airflow through it. But
yeah. That's strange.
It's just kind of strange.
It's kind of like your weed eater.
Right.
That thing will run for a little while, and you try to give it any gas, and it goes blah.
Right.
I'm probably just going to get a new carb. It wasn't the weed eater; it was the chainsaw. We figured out what the chainsaw problem was.
Yeah. That one we fixed, but I just got to clean out all the wood chips out of it.
Yeah, that one, the little bulb that you push to put fuel in it was cracked.
Ever so slightly.
So he was like, it's not getting any fuel. And I pushed my finger in there and I go, it's cracked all the way across.
Yeah, he touches it. So, oh, my God.
Yeah, it just fell apart. I was like, what the heck, dude? But it's just from...
Jay was just faking touching it. He wasn't really touching it.
He was pushing it from the other side. When you pushed against the broken side, the thing just split in half. But he was pushing on the non-broken side. So it was actually flexing the brake open. And when I pushed the brake into itself, it just kind of blew the bulb apart. So
he owns me a chainsaw.
So I have something I want to share real quick.
Sure.
Well, it's not really. It's sort of Park Flyer podcast stuff, and sort of not. I mean, it's a 3D printer thing, but I ran across this drawer thing that you can
this
print.
drawer
And this drawer. And it's for holding small pieces. And it's just a 4x4 inch little cabinet, I guess, with 4 drawers in it. And so I ended up printing one of those out. And it's pretty cool to be able to print something out that's going to be somewhat useful.
Oh, okay. So this is your
of,
first big print then for you.
It is his first big print.
Well, I don't know about big print, but in terms of like its functionality and stuff.
I mean, you've only printed out like a couple things for your daughter, some small figurines, some nut bolts.
Yeah, a couple of small parts. I did a phone holder so I can use that on the plane.
Right. When you went for Christmas time, I remember that.
Right, and I have this whole spool of what's supposed to be red, but it's really pink.
I was going to say, buddy, that ain't red.
Yeah, I hate to say that. I
pink.
thought it looked really good for your daughters, but
Well, anyway, so I end up. The good news is that people aren't going to steal my stuff.
no, that's true.
It's pink. Nobody wants it. I don't even want it. It's pink. But at the same time,
It's fabulous.
I can still,
I'll take it.
Stop that.
I mean, I'm comfortable with my manhood, but this is really pink stuff, right? And so I printed that out. It was kind of cool. I mean, I'm really happy with the result. And you can actually build a bigger box out of it. So my print only prints 100 centimeter. My printer only prints 100 centimeter square. Mm-hmm. So it's not very big at all. In fact, I had to take the print and reduce it so it would print. Like it wouldn't print with the size that was given to me. I had to reduce it by 10%.
So this four-door chest of drawers is smaller than my cell phone.
No, it's 4 inch by 4 inch.
My cell phone's 4.7 inches by.
Oh,
so
well,
it is
okay.
small. Yeah, it's just slightly smaller than my cell.
Yeah, I mean, it's shorter than my cell phone. That's true. But again, you're just putting small screws, and it's not like I have 1,000 of them either.
What?
So
I do.
It's
by
enough.
The way.
Yeah, you do. But any ones that I would have had, Jay tossed out before he moved. So I'm not bitter about that, but it is something I remember.
Oh my!
And
I better go to sleep with my eyes open. That's for sure.
Yeah, no doubt, man. So much for your trips down there.
In fact, I'm printing a switchblade right now. So that's a good thought, Jay.
A plastic switchblade.
There you go.
You better sleep with one
But
eye
anyway,
open. Remember my
it was
screws
cool.
you threw out?
It takes a while to print it, but the good news is that I'm going to knock on wood here that it's been babysit free. Like I haven't had to pay attention to it.
That's pretty
so
cool.
I can start it. I can start it when I first get up, and it gets going. It takes a while to print the box that holds the drawers, and then the drawers take a little while each. But it's no skin off my nose because I don't have to. It's not like I have to do anything while it's doing it. It just
chugs
works.
along.
And so, yeah, which I really think is cool. Jay and I tried a bunch of modifications, and some of those modifications didn't work.
Well,
during
you were
that
having
process,
your own scab house moment, right?
Yeah, I was having trouble,
So,
right?
what-
So during that process, like one of the pieces broke. So in order to print another one of those pieces, I had to have that piece. So I was kind of like stuck in a catch-22. Yeah. So I end up putting the piece back and holding it.
Well, hold on for a
15
second. You got to
minutes.
kind of get back your story up. So basically,
Well, I don't know if everybody wants
we can
to
go over it
through
real
the
quick,
whole story,
but basically the story goes like this: you were using your printer and this piece broke, and you're like, "Hey man, I got this problem." This piece that I have.
It was part of the feed.
It feeds in the
Part of the
filament,
feed,
right? It's kind of like a filament guide, and it holds the PTF tube that the filament goes through, like guides through it, right? And it holds it. It holds it tight, and so it doesn't allow it to slide because it's a Teflon tube, right? So it just kind of clamps down on it. So Mike was like, "Oh, okay. This thing broke. What do I do? Blah 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 blah. I'm having a problem with it because his extruder is made out of plastic." And I said, "That's your problem. Having a plastic extruder over time, they're going to get weak and they break, and you should just get a metal one." And he's like, "Yeah, I don't know." And I go, "Well, hey, aren't you coming down here?" And he goes, "Yeah, I'm going to be down there next week or whatever." And I said, "Great. I have an extra metal extruder that I'm not using. I'll just give it to you." He's like, "Fantastic." So I give him the metal extruder, and everybody's happy and everything's good. He's like, "Is it going to fit?" And I go, "Yeah, it fits the stepping motor, and they're all standard, and so all the holes are going to fit and everything. You might have to get some different screws, but no big deal. Run to Ace Hardware, get yourself the screws that you need." Okay. He goes back home. Everything's all hunky dory. He pulls off all the old gear, puts on the metal geared stuff. Had some problems because it didn't exactly come with instructions, right? So I sent him a couple of videos and some stuff. We figure that all out. He gets it all put together. And they have these, what are those things called? The actual piece that broke on his plastic one, which was made out of plastic, his was metal, but it was wore out or it wasn't working right. So it wouldn't hold,
Right.
It still wouldn't hold.
It lost the teeth.
Yeah, it lost the teeth to hold the
gotcha.
PTF
Right.
tube, the Teflon tube. So the Teflon tube would move back and forth. And therefore, your prints would come out all wonky because the filament wasn't going through smoothly like it should have. So so he's like, "Dang it, I'm trying to print this thing out, but the tube keeps falling out and blah, 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 blah." And I go, "Well, dude, I guess you're just going to have to put the plastic one back in, print out another piece that you need." I found, that's what it was. I found on Thingiverse a piece that would fix the metal the metal version.
The wild one, yeah.
And it would allow him to get rid of that piece that wasn't holding with the teeth and replace it with a plastic piece that would hold on to it. So we're going that route. Well, he goes and takes everything out again, puts everything back in with the plastic pieces, gets it all back together. It seems like it's working, and then all of a sudden, the plastic guide holder, it totally snaps off. Crack! And then I get a picture of him with some glue and the guide holder in two pieces, and I'm like, what are you doing?
That's funny.
And he's like, yeah, this thing just broke. And I'm like, just what? Like, were you pushing on it or something, or were you doing whatever? He's like, no, it just broke. I don't understand why. Well, it turns out I printed that part for him. And I didn't exactly put enough, this is stuff called infill. I didn't put enough plastic in it. I just kind of printed it out real quick. And, I only use like 10% plastic in it. So it kind of just broke on its own because it wasn't solid. So anyway, neither here nor there. He goes to this thing now. The piece is broken. I can't print out the piece that I need because, I don't have the other thing I need. And so basically what you ended up holding the piece until it got done, or you freaking got tape or duct tape or whatever.
No, I reprinted the piece and I basically held it in place because I could hold it in place and it would work as long as I was holding it. Although I was moving a little bit, so the piece came out a little wonky because it affected the way the feed was working.
Because you're holding it like this as it's going on.
Yeah, because I have to use pressure to hold it too, and so 15 minutes of holding your thumb in a weird position and like switching thumbs, and it's like, oh my God, I hope to God this piece that I printed will at least work partly.
Right.
At least it will hold it better, and I can print new pieces. And so I put that sort of wonky piece back on, and I quickly printed two more of them. So now I have the pieces I need. But I'm back to the plastic thing. I figured out that the metal one won't work because those things that Jay found don't hold it tweaks the Bowden tube too much. And so it causes it to have too much friction, and it won't feed enough. So anyway, it was just like one problem after another of whatever comedy of events. But now it's using the old plastic extruder and the wonky printed part, and it seems to be cranking along. So it's like I just backed away.
Just leave the wonky part on
working.
there as working.
Yeah, I'm going to walk away. Anyway, that's all I wanted to share.
That's funny. Well, it's, what? Any type of adventure is a good adventure. So I am very impressed with this miniature pink 4-drawer chest of drawers. It will serve you well with the storage, and then you can give it to someone for their dollhouse later, I'm sure. So
yeah, whatever. Yeah, that's right. It'll be any kind of number of things you could use.
That's too funny, actually. So, well, I have to run out to the Far East there this weekend, so I don't really have time to go fly. But are you going flying at all? Mike, you did a little bit of paragliding or something this week, I think.
Yeah, I've flown my paramotor.
Paramotor.
And, I've been struggling with landings. Not that I've been hurting myself, but I'm just not doing awesome landings. Like, it's like when you fly in your airplane, you stall too early, and then the wing tips, and it goes, you go down. It doesn't really hurt the plane, but, it's enough to maybe cause a little bit of damage. And most of the damage is happening to me. I get a skinned knee or
the damage is happening
happens.
To me. I'm my fuselage.
But
for pilots that are actually in the airplane,
as
it's just a
opposed to the
little bit
unit.
of a hurt their pride. That's about all that happens to us.
Yeah, mostly that's it, right? I mean, that's really what it is. And so, but this last time I went out, I nailed the landing, so that was kind of nice to do. And you know how you feel when you're flying an airplane. I was telling Mike or Jay, I can't remember who, I've been helping guys out that are new, and training. I'm just doing like very simple stuff. Like I'm not the instructor. There's a guy who knows what he's doing and whatever. But still, for me, teaching people helps me learn. And then two, it's a lot like training people in RC. You have to know your left from your right. You have to understand how the.
I'm just laughing because I'm just thinking how many times.
I mean, you and I have. It's like, Jay, go right, and you're like, left it goes, and then it's like, no, the other right, Jay. But it happens to everybody, right? Yeah. So anyway, it's been a really interesting journey for that too, because I get to talk to different people, see how they learn. They learn differently than I learn. I have to use different words for them to be able to get how to steer the kite and how to make things happen, and just talking about the different pieces and the questions that you get. Like, like sometimes little kids or whatever, they'll ask, okay, so why does it break apart when it lands? And it's like, oh, it's a really good question.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that for a second. And just really inquisitive and really interested in some of the technical details. It's kind of fun.
Well, that's kind of neat. Well, that give you some instruction time. You can you learn a lot by explaining things. You kind of you wrap it around your head. But I think actually when I was at Jay's, we were out doing something, and we had a communication problem there too, where we actually talked about it afterwards, because I was like, yeah, this wasn't filtering through what I was saying, what he was saying. We were saying the same things, but it was disconnecting in there somewhere, and until we found out where it connected, we're like, okay, we were both saying the same thing, we both understand, but it took a little bit for us to get there. So that's part of the
so Jay and I, after we've done the first-person view flying, we learned that for us, when we're ever doing anything together, we really have to have a conversation beforehand about, I'm going to say this, and it's going to mean this.
Right.
Like, this is what I mean by that. And I'm going to say that, and and you're going to say, and he says, oh, I'm going to say this, and it means this. And even with that, though, we still have our communication problems, because, again, you're in the heat of the moment or the excitement of the moment or whatever's happening. When I'm flying, you and I have done this. I know you remember this. You're like, Mike, do this, that, or the other thing, and I'm just trying to keep my cool, and let alone try to fly the damn plane. And I'm just trying to keep my cool, so I don't throw the sticks left and right. Yeah. And you're like, aren't you turning right? 'Cause I'm doing the best I can right now, Mike.
You got to do what you can do. So.
Yeah,
actually, when Jay and I flew with Jim, that was
with the quadcopters,
with the little quad.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that I did not realize.
Jay
I said,
would
push
say,
forward,
do this and do this, and push forward, and he would, he would go forward, and the guy Jim would pull back or push to left or right or whatever. It was very frustrating.
You got to come up with stuff. And you're on the radio with the paramotor, and you say full throttle. You might not hear that because the engine's going.
Right.
So if they don't hear it right, they might go, what did he say? Stop throttle? Or whatever, right?
Sure.
And if you don't talk about what you're going to say and what it means, you just stuff happens.
Yeah, it does. So, well, I love talking about all of our stuff and telling stories, because it makes the hour go by just zipping by. So our hour is up, believe it or not.
Woo-hoo.
I know, right?
Wait, I have one thing to say. One more thing to say.
Go ahead and say it.
830-444-4943.
And what can I do with that number?
What's that?
What can I do with that number?
That's a phone number. You can call and stalk us, or you can
stalk us. You feel like
you can call and leave suggestions.
Feel like giving us a call.
I
listen to you guys every week.
Stop.
I'll listen to you next week.
You're going to get us kicked off of YouTube already. That's correct. Yep. You can give us a call. Let us know how we're doing. 830-444-4943. We're going to give a shout out once again to rcbatteriesusa.com. That's A Power Batteries.
A power.
And also a shout out to Eric over there at 3D Aero Adventures.
Aero Ventures.
Yo, Eric.
Oh, sorry.
Was it shout out?
Yeah, it's a shout out to the 3D.
Yo, Eric.
Yo, Eric. There you go. 3daeroventures.com, where you can download your 3D printable plans and type in the word Park Flyer, get our discount. And if you're getting the A-Power batteries, type in PFPC10, and that will help us out as well. Guys, it has been a fun evening with you both.
Excellent.
And we're looking forward to more adventures coming up. So
wait for the winter to come. That's basically what I'm doing.
Yeah, I mean, it's really super hot.
It's hot out there.
I will tell you that we're going to give a shout out to Spencer. I know he's been on our podcast before. He got into a pretty bad accident coming home from the flying field. Totaled his car and banged him up pretty good. So yeah, he had a head-on collision with a kid.
Oh wow!
With a 16-year-old kid who decided to make a left turn into his lane. So. Luckily for Spencer, he didn't have his trailer attached, or all of his airplanes would have just been like in his front seat through the trailer. But he didn't take the trailer this time. He just took his little like my little who's Extreme Flight. It makes those little,
Yeah.
the little one that I have, the 60-inch. He had his in the back, and it wound up front somewhere. He came to a stop. The car
You
is
mean the
horrible.
kid helped him make 3 planes?
Yeah, he did. Kid helped him out.
3 out of 1.
The kid helped him get a new plane is what he helped him do, because I don't know if he can repair that one. But he's got a lot of projects that he's trying to wrap up too for the end of the year. So it's pretty exciting to see. And my cockpit for the L-39 came in, so I'm going to jump back on that, try to get it cranked up. And I'm going to wait till the weather gets a little cooler, but I think the guys are out flying sometimes.
Now I can print you a pink
There
one.
you go.
Yeah, that's right. You can. So very cool. Well, guys, thanks for joining us. I'm Michael from Arizona.
And I'm Jay from the hills of Texas.
And I'm AK Mike in Texas.
We'll see you in 2 weeks.
Let's fly.
You have been listening to the Park Flyer Podcast. Thank you for joining us, and we look forward to your next visit. Please give our show a star rating and review, and feel free to email us your questions, topics, or suggestions to parkflyerpodcast@gmail.com.